Hi, I'm JT, this is Campervan Journey. Thanks for taking the time to tune in, and today I'm going to talk to you about why we bought a Volkswagen Campervan. So it all started off back in 2015, so 5 years ago. We're a family of 5 plus a dog. We enjoy sort of camping holidays. We'd often been away, stayed in log cabins, had a tent for quite a few years, a large tent. And as the family had got bigger, we'd had to buy bigger tents, tried all sorts of different tents. Different manufacturers. In fact, I've got a reputation for buying a tent, selling it and then buying another one, and just enjoy that whole process of choosing a tent. But time came, it first happened when we were staying down in very West Wales. We were driving backwards and forwards around the local area, and we kept seeing lots and lots of Volkswagen vans everywhere. Californias, converted T4s, T5s, a lot of the older vans as well, and it suddenly clicked with us that a camper van, would be the perfect thing to suit us down to the ground. And during that week away, we kept looking and seeing more and more different types of vans, different configurations, people using them for all different purposes. And the more we thought about it, the more it made sense that a camper van or a van conversion would be the perfect thing for us to use as a family vehicle. And the question was then what type of van we buy. Do we convert one? Do we buy an old one? Do we buy a newer one? Do we buy a fully converted one? How do we do it? But then started several months of research and investigation as to which was the right way to go. Driving from West Wales all the way back to here in Salisbury where we live, we counted vans along the way, and sort of on that stretch of the M4 motorway, I think we counted about 150 vans that were all heading west down to the coast. And again, that sort of really seemed to confirm that this was the type of vehicle that would really suit the sort of lifestyle if you wanted to get away quickly for the weekend, just go and spend a few days, chuck everything in the back. And at the time I think we had a Ford S-Max people carrier, which was fine. It was a big car, perfect for just running around, but it even that struggled with putting all of our kit in the back. And there's a photo of us all loaded up. I'm looking very proud of myself having managed to get everything in, but it just wasn't really big enough. And especially if we wanted to take our dog away with us, Honey, the spaniel, then she would struggle. There just wasn't room to do it. So it just confirmed that buying a van would be the right way to go. So then started months, and even more months of trying to find the right van, trying to make the decision about what we buy and when we buy, and the choice is tremendous. And the more you look at it, and you can spend hours on Auto Trader, on eBay, all the other specialist sites, having a look at all the different vans for sale. Do you want a sporty Sportline type van? Do you want to go for a more classic arrangement? Do you want a converted one? Do you want a van all set up with full camper facilities? We had a driving aspect of being a family of 5, as much as a proper camper configuration with integrated kitchen would be fantastic for those occasional camping weekends away. We made the decision that if we were going to bite the bullet and buy a van, that it would be our main car. And being a family of 5, camper configuration just wouldn't work. We needed room for 3 passengers to be able to sit in the back, and that obviously not limited, but really narrowed down our choice as to what type of van we were going to buy. So then you set out trying to look and find the right van that's got a configuration for set up for 3, and it really drove us down the line of looking at a Kombi. We settled on the Kombi configuration. That's 2 seats in the front, a row of 3 seats in the back. Having been to a couple of dealers, a couple of retailers of vans to go and look at a couple of different setups, and the configuration of having 3 seats in the back, 3 full-size seats, and importantly being able to, because our children at the time were quite young, but we needed to be able to put 3 child seats across. And that's another, if you've got kids, you'll know that as with younger children, finding a car that will actually accommodate 3 seats side by side is really difficult. And as children are younger, the child seats are bigger. As they get older, the child seats get a little bit smaller, but the child gets bigger, so you still need the width and space across the back. So whilst it was a van, actually the space of the van made far more sense than a car in terms of giving them comfortable space, more legroom, and then all the bits and pieces, your room for all the clobber and bags and stuff that they like to carry. With younger children, really young children, because Harry, our youngest, was sort of a couple of years old at the time, we still needed to think about all the extra bits that we would take with him. We were no longer needing to take travel cots and baby kitten cots and things when we went away, but push chairs we needed to accommodate. Either we had a rucksack to carry him in, but all of this stuff was bulky, and if we were going to go away, it was going to take up valuable space in a car, which when you're camping, you need every little piece of space, especially if you're taking a large tent, which we needed, gas bottles, cooking equipment, all of that stuff meant space was a premium. And again, that just drove us down the route of saying, yep, a van is the right vehicle for us. So how do you choose a van? Well, how long's a piece of string? What's your preference? You have to try and be a little bit ruthless. I work in the motor industry, so that in some ways is a good thing, but it also is a bad thing. It gives me access to too much knowledge, too much stuff that can cloud my decision about what is right for us. So in many ways, I'd be over-analysing the vans that I was looking at. The mileage was too high, the age was too old, the spec wasn't right, the service history was wrong. So you need to sort of try and step back from that and be a bit more objective. So we set our criteria as to what was important. First and foremost, we had a budget. Our budget was limited, and we knew that long term we wanted to go for as close to a proper camper as we could get with a pop top setup, and that was going to cost money, either in purchase price or conversion cost later on. So we worked backwards, set ourselves an ideal budget of a maximum of about £20,000, which is a lot of money, and tried to get the newest and best specified van that we could find for that budget. Now, the longer we looked, the more it became apparent that it was going to be really, really difficult to find everything we wanted within that price range. So I wanted a van that really wasn't any more than 5 years old, didn't want it to have covered any more than 60,000 miles-ish. It needed to have a 2-litre diesel engine. I wasn't fussed about manual or automatic gearbox. The diesel engine, we wanted the more powerful ones, so it had poke. I didn't want to go down the route of remapping or chipping or any of those other options that some people look at. So I've seen the negative side of having that done, if it can cause problems later on. So the objective was a 2-litre diesel van, manual gearbox preferably. There must be a Kombi setup, so with 3 seats already in the back, and then our budget, ideally, if we could find one already with a pop top, brilliant. If we couldn't, we needed to subtract the cost of that and any conversion cost, which was certainly going to be a few £1,000s from that, and see what we could end up with. But we took several months in trying to find the right vehicle. Coincidentally, one of the dealerships within the group that I work for was a commercial van business, and they had a part exchange come in which looked like it might do the job. So after several months and being a little bit lucky, I suppose, this van appeared on the radar, and it was a 2-litre diesel, T5 5.1, so the newer version of the T5 with a 2-litre diesel 140 brake horsepower engine. It had covered around about 55,000 miles. It was 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. And most interestingly, it was a twin slider. Twin sliders means it's got the twin sliding doors on either side. Quite rare, but if you've got kids and a family, it actually would be a real bonus from making the step from a car to a van and still having that sort of practicality of being able to treat it a bit like a normal family car. So that was a really good factor that appealed to us. The downsides were it was a bit tatty. This was an ex-builder's van. It had had 3 or 4 owners, or 2 or 3 of them within the same company. Service history was okay, some of it main dealer, some of it not main dealer, some of it independent garage. But yeah, there was a reasonable, but these were little niggly things that, you know, it wasn't a one owner van, it didn't have full main dealer service history. This was stuff that I thought, yeah, sort of put me off, but the price was good. It was £12,000, and for that I knew it would be a good basis and gave us headroom for any other conversions that we wanted to do. The downside was, as I said, it was an ex-builder's van and it was tatty. It had been treated like a builder's van, it had been bashed about outside and inside, the bodywork was a bit tatty, but it was a good basis. So we bit the bullet and we said, yeah, let's buy it, let's go for it, and we picked it up. So that was in January, February time, and I remember driving to the dealer to pick it up, paying the money, and we've got this, having spent time, months looking at all these different vans and seeing some amazing vehicles. You really, one thing you learn once you get into these vans is that people really look after them. They really are their pride and joy. So more often than not, every van you see is just beautiful. You know, people spend the time and effort to keep them really well. They're always cleaning them. You know, they've got nice wheels, they've nice graphics, and personalisation as well. So when we went and picked this ex-builder's van up, and it's, having bought it trade, it hadn't been valeted, it was grubby, it looked a bit sorry for itself, and it was almost a bit of deflated. But do you know what? It was the best thing we ever did, because this was going to become the basis for our campervan journey. So we'd already done research about how and what we wanted to carry out to this Kombi, and we had a list of items that we wanted to do. One of the things was to try and convert the Kombi seating, so the Volkswagen Kombi seat setup enables you to individually fold the seats to some extent. They can be moved as well, but they are a little bit limited in terms of their flexibility. They're either in, folded or out. We'd seen the ability that you could actually put the Caravelle sliding seat system into a van. Seen a couple of conversions that had this carried out, and it seemed like a really good solution for us with 3 children and the plan or prospect of being able to take the van away camping for either short weekends or longer European trips. But having the versatility of being able to slide the seat system backwards and forwards seemed like a great idea. Now, this wasn't a job that we would even think of carrying out ourselves, so we started to look around for a conversion company that could carry out this work for us. Now, there are loads and loads of companies out there that carry out this sort of work, and a bit like choosing a builder, a lot of it is down to how do you choose one. You can go on your gut feel, you can go and speak to the businesses themselves, you can ask around other people who've had their work done, and we had a look at a few local companies, and we sort of narrowed down a list of 2 or 3 that looked of interest, and then we went and spoke to one in particular, a company called Wessex Vans down in Poole, and they were great. The guys down there have been absolutely were fantastic, especially Rob and Damien, and we went in to see them, and told them what we were looking for, showed them our basic van that we had and where we wanted to end up, and they totally got what we were looking for and came together with us with a plan and a quote for the work that we wanted to achieve. So the things that we ultimately wanted to end up with was the caravel sliding seat system, which meant changing the floor to accommodate that as well. To have the van lined out, because a Kombi van is a metal box with some micro or fibre board lining in there, so it's noisy, it's rattly, it's not particularly comfortable. So we wanted to do away with all of that and have it properly lined out and insulated. We wanted to have some lighting put in, some additional electric points so we could charge items, and leisure batteries, and some captain's chairs as well. So the guys took all of that on board, came back to us with a costing and a quote, which was, to be fair, more than I'd anticipated. But we said, no, if that's what we want to achieve, then we've got to invest the money to do it. And we'd seen the quality of the guys' work at Wessex Vans, and we were confident that actually, it was well worth doing. So we agreed to book the van in for a few weeks later and send it down to have the first stage of its conversion done. So hopefully, after a week of work, we were going to say goodbye to the builder's van that we had and pick up what will be part one of our converted camper. So after leaving the van with Wessex Vans for a week, we went down to pick up the new van, and it was great. I say new van, it wasn't a new van, it was a converted van, but it was like a different vehicle. The guys at Wessex Vans had done an amazing job of converting it and taking our Volkswagen Kombi to the first step of what we were hoping it was going to be. So we had our caravel sliding seats, we had fully lined out interior, we had some additional lighting, we had swivelling captain chair, we had a leisure battery. So we were all set up for our first summer of campervan ownership. The quality of the work they'd done was really good. I did spoil myself a little bit by changing the alloy wheels and a couple of other design details just to personalise it a bit. But again, one of the great things with the van scene, we found there's a market for everything. So you take one set of wheels off, you can sell those and put the money that you've got from those towards new ones. So you can spend thousands, and I'm sure people do, we did, spend thousands of pounds on ending up or getting a van to how we wanted it. And Claire, my wife, was saying, well, what are you looking at other bits? Do we need any alloy? Why are you spending? And just to me, it was important that the van was individual. So you'll see hopefully from the pictures of our Kombi, our black Kombi, that it really was personalised, and I took a lot of pride in getting it to how it looked, and lots of people commented on it, which was great. To some people that's important, others it's not, but I was really proud of how that van looked. So after that first week of the van being away with Wessex Vans, that part one of the conversion was done, and we had our camper. We were good to go. We were ready to enjoy our first summer, our Campervan journey. So thanks for watching this video, and if you like what you see and there'll be more content from us, just click the button to subscribe, and I'll tell you next video about stage 2 of our Kombi conversion. So here we take our van, which has been partially converted, and we go full-on camper. I say full-on camper, we fit a pop top. So that means trusting somebody to cut a hole in the roof of your van and then fit a pop top. Everyone needs a pop top.